not much of a difference, but it's something. So, what is going on, everybody? Spine's here, and for this video, Death Battle, Magneto versus Tetsuo from
Genius.
Akira. So, we're both already familiar with Magneto, right?
Yes.
Yeah, the X-Men, all that. I don't suppose you've watched Akira?
I have not.
Okay. It's like a classic 90s anime movie. I think it's 90s. It's either 90s or like late 80s. I don't even remember. But I've seen the movie once, many years ago, so I barely remember any of it. I know it's trippy and I know he has powers, but I have no idea how powerful.
Right.
Like, I don't know if the source material takes it further or anything, because I know Magneto is ridiculously strong, so...
Yeah.
So, like, I want to see where on Earth, like, how Tetsuo scales to that, if he even does.
Right.
Because the last death battle was pretty one-sided.
I don't even remember who the fucking last one was.
Homelander versus Omni-Man.
Did
you watch that one?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. That one was fun.
That one was interesting.
Alright, so... You ready?
Yep.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1, play.
This episode of Death Battle is sponsored by HelloFresh and Bespoke Post.
Now let's go.
Magneto, Marvel's mutant master of magnetism.
Tetsuo Shima, Akira's telekinetic terror of Neo-Tokyo.
These two maestros of kinesis have ignited revolution not just in their worlds, but also the very mediums they exist within.
Okay, I guess it. All right, that's an even better way to compare these two. Because wow.
To find out who would win a death battle.
See where these go. See where this goes.
In the short duration of modern civilization, likely no conflict tested humanity more than the Second World War. In the primary Marvel 616 universe, this fact is no different, especially to the Eisenhart family and their only son.
You may know him as Magnus, Eric, or Max, but if you ask him, he'd say his true name is Magneto.
As a Jewish child in Nazi Germany, Magneto's early life was, well, extremely traumatic.
Even after eventually escaping
Yep.
certain death with his future wife, misfortune always followed wherever he went.
Thanks to his unexpected mutation called the X gene, the mark of a superhuman. After settling down in Russia with his new family, the KGB quickly found out about this quirk, so they burned his house down with his own daughter inside.
Naturally, he snapped and killed them all. I don't blame him. I'd do that too. Too bad his wife didn't get it and ditched him, though. But that's when Magneto made a choice. Since humans hurt him his entire life, he'd do the same to them in the name of mutants everywhere.
At first, Magneto turned to the telepathic powerhouse Charles Xavier and his fledgling team of heroes. But his new friend wasn't thrilled with the idea of, subjugating the human race. So, Magneto formed his own team of mutants, the Brotherhood.
Magneto can telekinetically move, bend, and
Man, the
reshape
90s
any
X-Men
metal
show
he's
was so
aware
good.
of. Bullets, vehicles, buildings, you name it. Even himself when he manipulates his personal magnetic field for flight and energy barriers.
Magnetic kinesis is
That's
far
how he
more
flies?
versatile than it would appear at first glance. The
I just
blood
thought he was
in
just
your
wearing
body
metal.
has iron in it. The air has traces of lead and mercury. Whole mountains are lined with metallic ore. The Earth itself is surrounded by a literal magnetic field.
Oh,
Many
so
toys
you
for
can
Magneto
control
to play
that
with.
stuff as
He can
well.
detect magnetic fields at such a huge range, he can even
Shit.
pinpoint Earth's magnetic
See,
field
like,
while
me myself, I
stranded
didn't
on a
really know
planet
much
in
of
another galaxy.
Magneto.
And guess
What
what?
he could
He was
do,
able
yeah.
to use those rays to pull himself back to Earth in a single day.
His range
I'm a
is even
Spider-Man
more
guy, okay?
remarkable than that.
Yeah, I know you're a
Did you
Spider-Man
know
guy.
that in 1920, physicist Hans Christian Ørsted
But even then, you have
discovered
more
that
info on
electric
most of
currents,
these
like those
characters than I
electrons
do.
and atoms, produce their own magnetic fields. Magneto can fine-tune his control to affect these very subatomic particles. Dummy here will illustrate such a particle, with positively charged protons and negative
boy.
electrons.
My life is as meaningless as an atom is small.
So what you're saying is Magneto could, like, yank one of those out.
Correct, potentially changing an atom's entire chemical makeup. However, neutrons do not have a charge, and
Nah,
without the ability
no
to
way.
adjust those to accommodate the change in atomic mass, the atom would become unstable and
Finally!
Finally.
Do that. Magneto's violent protest against humankind clashed with Xavier's peaceful reconciliation, not unlike the ideologies taught by Malcolm X and Dr. King, by whom Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were inspired. Magneto would spend most of his career pushing Xavier away to prove his philosophy superior, which meant doing battle with Xavier's school of thought, quite literally.
And Baldy's mind powers are no joke, but thanks to Magneto's psionic repelling helmet, Professor X couldn't touch him. Magneto survived Cyclops' earth-splitting lasers, absorbed the power of the sun to battle Iron Man, ripped the adamantium skeleton out of Wolverine's body, and even taken on
I was afraid he'd actually have done that at some point in the comics.
Zero to Hero,
Oh, yeah.
the guy who held up the skies of Olympus for Atlas? That Hercules.
Seems sensible. Magneto once used the Earth's magnetic field to overwhelm the Phoenix Force, which can effortlessly destroy planets.
Well, that's a feat.
Far more.
Hell, if he really wanted to, Magneto could totally just fling the Earth off its axis.
It's entirely possible.
All right,
he may
so,
have eventually
yeah.
resorted to just that.
Tetsuo
Over
in the
time, it
movie
became clear
is
Magneto's
not
power
that
was doing
powerful,
far more harm
so-
than good for his fellow mutants. However well-intentioned he
Let's
may
see
have
where
been
this
at
goes.
first.
Luckily, he later
I
realized
actually
he
have
was
to
going
see.
a bit overboard and began reevaluating his perspective. Good for you, Mags. It's really tough to recognize when you're the baddie.
It took time and patience not just from Magneto, but also from his peers. Yet eventually, his path was completely changed. He even became a leader for Xavier's X-Men.
But don't let his new goody two-shoes ways fool you. Whenever there's a threat to mutants, you can bet Magneto will be there to annihilate it. Forever. By any means necessary.
Yeah. All right, let's see. Oh, never mind. They got.
At HelloFresh, you get
It's weird they've been sticking ads in the middle of these now.
Delivered right to your doorstep.
Skip trips to the grocery store and
So,
count HelloFresh to make
okay, yeah, I was expecting Magneto to be a lot stronger than I ever knew him to be just from the movies, but
Right.
Tetsuo, I'm hoping he's the same.
Step-by-step recipes being a joyful cooking
If this is going to be an at all
Plus, HelloFresh
relevant
cuts back on
battle.
time spent in the kitchen with
Right.
meals ready in around 30 minutes or less.
It's a pretty good movie, so if you ever want to check it out, you could. Even though I barely remember
might.
any of it.
HelloFresh has definitely
Right.
saved
I haven't
me
heard of it, but
Mad scientists like myself don't always have the time to do all their own cooking from scratch.
I'll definitely check it out. Maybe. I don't know.
Up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts.
That's HelloFresh.com/DeathBattle16 and use the code DeathBattle16 for up to 16 free meals and 3 free gifts.
HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
Tetsuo.
Over 30 years ago, a new type of bomb was set off over Tokyo, and 9 hours later began the Third World War.
Welcome to 2030, or 2019 if you're watching the anime. The buildings are taller, the motorcycles are cooler, and the future is brighter. Oh, wait, not really. If you find yourself in the Capsule Gang, you'll meet Shotaro Kaneda, who's like your textbook anime Chad. Gets the ladies, beats the baddies, and cops the sweetest rigs. Man, I need to get me one of those.
And then there's the little brother of the group, Kaneda's best friend, Tetsuo Shima. He's, well,
The exact opposite. A
Ouch.
total wimp.
Ah, I saw that.
College thesis forehead got bullied for being the new kid at the orphanage. That's until Big Bro Kaneda came to the rescue.
eventually the two went to vocational school together and formed the Capsules. But Tetsuo was never satisfied with Kaneda being the leader of the pack. Tetsuo desired more than anything to be top dog.
Oh, I can just see that monkey's paw curling in my mind. Or that kid walking down the street. Shit, Tetsuo, watch out, you're gonna... That definitely should have killed him. But since it didn't, Tetsuo earned himself a ticket to military confinement. Turns out they had an under-the-table program for developing child superweapons.
In the same program that backfired and jump-started the war, Tetsuo became Japan's Esper number 41.
May not have been a natural with bikes, baddies, or babes, but this telekinesis stuff hit different. He walked out of that hospital ward effortlessly flying, reading minds, and blending people into strawberry jelly. Tetsuo got what he wanted. Power, along with the hunger for more of it.
A hunger that used to only be satiated
Yeah.
with drugs.
I
And not
don't
just
remember
any
all
gateway
that.
drug, pills so potent that a single gram of the stuff could kill you.
So, pretty bad. Kinda reminds me of college days, huh? Snow wizard.
Tetsuo's main ability is his constantly increasing psionic energy, growing more
Wait a
and more
moment,
powerful
wait a moment.
over time. This is due to Tetsuo's link to, quote, the memories of the universe, end quote. It's weird.
Either way, Tetsuo leveled up from lame gangbuster to certified badass. This guy is a walking natural disaster. His telekinesis can shake the planet, easily cause earthquakes over a dozen miles below
Earthquake
the surface.
level.
He can summon psychic barriers for defense and crush foes with friggin' gravity wells. He can dart around as a literal bolt of lightning, or even teleport in an instant.
Tetsuo's telekinesis
I
can
didn't
be
know
so
that.
precise he can target and obliterate specific parts of the body. He can heal severe wounds quickly, but even after losing a whole limb, he can craft a new one using whatever nearby materials he wants.
With these powers, Top Dog Kaneda didn't matter anymore. Who needed his approval? Tetsuo tasted that good shit and he was hooked. And when he found out another Esper named Akira could deal him even more power, he rampaged through Tokyo to find him.
And this is where versions of the story differ.
Spoilers ahoy!
Yeah.
You may be familiar with the 1988 animation, where Akira
Okay,
had been
88. It was
dissected
late
for
80s.
research. However, in the original manga, Akira is not only alive, but even more powerful.
Once that little runt nuked Tokyo, Tetsuo would erect the Great Tokyo Empire with Akira and himself as its leaders. But he ended up just abusing the position for endless sex and inflating his ego.
With Kaneda's rebellion at his front door, Tetsuo took a turn for the worse. He had to fight.
Tetsuo's defeated other powerful espers, dodged light-speed lasers, and jumped to the moon faster than anyone could blink, and then punched a big old hole in it. And if you ask, Boomerstick, wouldn't that mess up gravity on Earth? You would be right, because it totally did. Screwed the planet, I guess. Stupid moon.
Which brings us to Tetsuo's folly. His
Okay,
abuse of his power
so-
spiraled until he lost control.
Much higher feats than I
Unfortunately for
recall,
Kaneda's
but
rebellion,
I don't know
this
if it's
did not make
Phoenix
Tetsuo an
Force
easier enemy
level.
to confront.
Right.
Exactly opposite, in fact, as Tetsuo painfully mutated into an unstoppable behemoth.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's not totally disturbing at all.
I'm happy to say the manga's version
Gross.
is
Yeah.
even more disturbing.
I mean,
Jesus
I know
Christ,
people
what
may
the
be
fuck?
monsters, but that's a whole nother level.
It is pain
Yep.
incarnate.
I remember this, at
Another
least.
Esper described Tetsuo's struggle as ego death, which has multiple definitions, but in this case is likely symbolic of the version attributed to drug use.
Yeah, it's described as a shedding of one's own identity, like how LSD can emulate a wild out-of-body experience, and you come back with a new perspective. Though this is maybe a little more extreme. In fact, you could say Tetsuo was shedding his human body to play with the powers of a god.
I wish I could
Fucking
shed
Rick
out
and
of
Morty.
mine.
I was about to say, like, Rick and Morty.
Tetsuo going full out of body meant becoming a mound of raw, ever-expanding energy.
Which almost nuked Tokyo all over again. And those explosions are not normal. I would know.
Top scientists in both the manga and animated versions describe these explosions as births of a new universe.
Given its properties of nuclear fusion and proton collapse, Tetsuo's mutated form was likely creating a Big Bang.
You know, the thing that started our whole universe?
Alright, that's
Right, in the
more
manga, it
that's
instead
more,
ended the Espers and their ability
Phoenix
to
Force
fight
level.
for all. A testament that humankind is
Pretty much.
unsuited to wield the powers of the divine.
Though the anime's even more trippy. Thanks to Akira and his
So-
buddies, Tetsuo got so
but that's the
high
other
on
thing.
ego
Okay,
that
so
he ascended
Magneto
time-space to become
controls
god of a new
magnetism.
universe.
And then,
Kinda worth it, right?
And yet,
Tetsuo is
Kaneda
more of an
kept his
actual
empire
Esper,
up in his honor.
so he can
Now
control
as the
basically
great
anything.
Akira Empire. Ironically, in death, Tetsuo finally received the attention he so desperately craved.
Oh man.
Death Battle is sponsored
Alright.
by Bespoke Post.
I still don't know. I still don't know the
Bespoke Post and their new seasonal lineup
don't know the
must have
feats.
lots of awesome
Because it's like,
Right.
okay, Big Bang, but condensed into that small an area, or Phoenix Force, which is like, they said planetary, but what did you say about the Phoenix Force?
Phoenix Force, last time I checked, Phoenix Force is like one of, if not,
Yeah, one of the strongest
Top.
things in the Marvel universe. So that's like universal
Yeah.
easy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, universal plus, and then put like highballing Big Bang, you know?
Right.
Get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com. and enter
I
the
want to go with
Death
Magneto on
Battle
this
at
one.
checkout.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to put more thought into this one, but I'm probably not gonna put that thought into it by the time I see the results.
All right, Met and Sar set to
Right.
run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for a death battle!
Let's go.
Even in Japan, they fail to recognize our superiority.
Wrong country, Grandpa! You're an Akira turf now!
Oh. Whew.
You're dead meat!
Impudent child!
The hell are you calling child? I make the rules around here!
You're wasting my time.
Ooh.
Politics,
He lost that quickly.
master of magnetism.
That's a building?
I'll kill you!
Ooh. Uh-oh.
Your history, scumbag!
Ouch. Ooh. The anime speed, though. Oh, did they even say Magneto's speed?
I don't think they have.
Because they said, like, Tetsuo can teleport, so that's a thing. Lightning or teleportation? Ugh!
I believe I've had enough tantrums to last a lifetime.
I was about to say. Ew.
Gross. Super gross.
Even in 8-bit, it's still nasty.
Right. Ew.
That's nasty.
Hurts. Help me.
Ugh. Well, it's time. Oh, that's nasty. No, do it to him.
Poor child.
Ooh. He just did what? Well. Bye.
Yowie wowie.
Whoa.
You are welcome.
That's a narrative to do. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
They don't usually do that in Death Battle.
Right.
And usually they go as brutally as possible.
Esoteric telekinesis
And merciless as possible.
ability certainly gave Magneto pause, but the Master of Magnetism had greater control over his foe.
The numbers don't lie. Tetsuo cratering the moon was insane, but Magneto punched Iron Man with the force of the sun.
Oh, yeah.
While Tetsuo jumped all the way to the moon, Magneto could move across galaxies.
Against Tetsuo in his human form, Magneto obviously
Okay.
held a sizable advantage in power and speed.
But stats aren't all that matters. With his precise telekinesis, Tetsuo could just target Magneto's organs. GG, right?
Yes, but Magneto had similar skills. There are very few substances on Earth that lack any metallic or magnetic component, and Magneto is very creative with his powers.
Yeah.
He used to predict Tetsuo's teleportation and even shut down his telekinesis. And his scraps with Xavier prove he could handle Tetsuo's messing with his head. The biggest challenge for
Yeah.
Magneto was when Tetsuo's gross mutated power came into play.
Especially given how the detonations from this form were compared to that of a Big Bang. Although the authenticity of that observation is questionable.
Yeah.
In truth, the Big Bang was a sudden expansion of matter on a universal scale, whereas Tetsuo's explosions are more akin to nuclear blasts, clearly intentional given the post-war symbolism of the Akira story.
The whole creating an alternate universe bit wasn't even part of the original material, so we can't exactly call it canon.
But let's just say the comparison wasn't superfluous. Let's say Tetsuo did in fact cause a Big Bang capable of creating or destroying an entire universe, alternate or otherwise.
Turns out Magneto had the tools to stop that too. Helmet Head could overpower Hercules, who was strong enough to hold
Yeah.
up the skies of Olympus, which is literally heaven and an alternate universe.
This doesn't necessarily mean Magneto
Yep.
could easily destroy a universe with a snap of his fingers, but it does prove he can match a similar level of power. And context is everything. Tetsuo's Big Bang eruption specifically exhibited proton collapse, meaning its atomic structure was primarily an unstable mess of neutrons and electrons. And Magneto has detected and commanded unstable electrons before.
Okay.
This
He can
means
control. He
Magneto
can
had
literally
every
control the
means
blast.
available to take control over this Big Bang.
Damn, and I thought he could just move some metal around. It's like the question
Right?
posed by
That's what
some
we
of
were
the
thinking.
greatest prophets of our time. Fucking magnets. How do they even work?
Magneto's astonishing power and
How do they even
control
work?
over all things magnetism triumphed in the end.
Tetsuo pushed his luck, but didn't have the metal to pull off the win.
The winner is
That's
Magneto.
actually kind of cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
All right,
this
I mean,
episode.
How
if
do
you'd like
Magnus?
to directly support the full Death Battle team, click that join button and consider becoming a member. We'd really appreciate it. Hope you like the next one.
Oh man. All right, who's next?
Uh,
Some Greek person versus. Is that Sun Wukong? Hercules versus Sun Wukong? As in, like the mythologies?
I mean, if it's meant to be the mythologies, they already got one wrong. It's Heracles, not Hercules, but okay.
Heracles.
Hercules is
Wait,
Roman.
is
Heracles
it spelled
Greek.
differently? I thought it was just pronounced differently.
It's spelt differently too.
Ah,
Spelt and
I don't even remember. But
Hercules is Roman. Heracles is Greek.
Yeah, I know that, but that's the very first time they've done a death battle that wasn't like actual characters from something. Those are like straight up just mythologies.
I mean, so honestly, if we're going off of that, even if we're going off of like Greek mythology, Heracles, I'm pretty positive my money is on Sun Wukong because Sun Wukong is like 10 times immortal.
It like Sun Wukong, dude, is. I mean, he's the guy that Goku's based off. So
Yeah, and like I as much as I love Heracles, Heracles is a demigod, while Sun Wukong is a god, and is 10 times immortal.
I need to see this. I need to see this fight. I want to see this fight because I love like Sun Wukong. I barely know anything about him. Like the actual legend of Sun Wukong.
Right.
I
Like
wanna
I said, all I know is he's like 10 times immortal.
That's unique though. I want to see that. I can't wait. I
Yeah,
wanna
that's
see
gonna be
this.
awesome.
That's gonna be so cool. All right.
Yeah,
so,
that is.
Whew. All right. Hope you enjoyed. Like you did. You'll see us in the next video. Peace out.
Adios.